Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, the First Lady, honorable ministers, ambassadors, friends of Rwanda, members of the Presidential Advisory Council, everyone who is here, Rwandans living abroad in Canada and in the US, thank you for coming, and I'd like to welcome you to Rwanda Day in Boston. Thank you. Your Excellency, this is the second day of our Rwanda Day, Agaciro, the journey continues. The reason we say the journey continues is because it did not just begin because they cut our aid. We have always been on a journey to continue our Agaciro, and we hope that this time here in Boston will give us the opportunity to showcase that we are well aware that this is a long-term process. Very quickly, I would just like to let you know the schedule that we have today. We are going to have remarks for the representative of the community, the Rwandan community here in the US, followed by remarks from the representative of the Rwandan community in Canada, after which we will have entertainment by Mani Martin, after which we'll hear statements, remarks from the Rwandan consul here in Boston, Bobby Sager, followed by which we will have remarks from Ambassador Kimonyo, after which we would like to hear what you have prepared for us today. And so in that regard, I would like to call forward the representative of the Rwandan community here in the US, Mr. Uwarijuru Eugene.
Your Excellency, President Paul Kagame, the First Lady, honorable ministers, ambassadors, distinguished guests, fellow Rwandans and friends of Rwanda. Before I kick off, I have a question to ask you. Is Rwanda in the house? Is anybody here from Rwanda? I can't hear you. Is anybody here from Rwanda? First and foremost, I would like to extend a warm welcome to President Kagame. Thank him for being with us today at our Rwanda Day event here in Boston. We Rwandans have one historic common bond, and that is Agaciro, our dignity. I would like to take this opportunity to place special focus on this special bond and share with you some insights on the role a dynamic diaspora can play in a country's development, using business as a vehicle. In this case, I will obviously concentrate on the Rwanda diaspora. Let's start with some figures to illustrate the power of a diaspora. Today, there are 215 million first-generation migrants around the world. That's 3% of the world's population. If there were a nation, it would be a little larger than Brazil. There are more Chinese people living outside China than there are French people living in France. Dear brothers and sisters living in the United States and Canada, you are part of this growing trend, and it is important that you know that you can make a difference. When it comes to doing business, diaspora members are often more willing than non-diaspora investors to risk starting or engaging in business activities in what may be perceived by outsiders as high-risk markets instead of emerging economies. My question to you is, how can we make a Rwanda that helps bridge the world to the billion people strong market that Africa represents? As a case in point, let me talk to you about my personal experience with the initial public offering ever issued by Rwanda's stock exchange 2 years ago. Some of you may not know it, but 2 years ago, Rwanda's Capital Markets Advisory Council launched a 2-week pre-offer campaign across the country to sensitize people for the initial public offer of Bralirwa. Our government was selling its 30% shareholding in Rwanda's main beer and soft drinks manufacturer and distributor owned by Heineken. As this initiative personally made a lot of sense to me, I committed significant funds to this unique opportunity and tried to persuade friends of mine to invest in this new venture. Most were skeptical and opted to politely decline joining me in this new journey. Nonetheless, I was not discouraged and later decided to propose the same idea to a Rwandese think tank called G2020. Friends of mine and I had created back in Europe in 2004. This group is composed of 25 Rwandans living in 11 different countries, including Rwanda, but united by their love for their country. Thank you. Some of them had not been in Rwanda since the late 1980s. I exposed the idea to them, and they immediately understood the opportunity at hand. In just one day, we raised $115,000 US dollars. And then invested a significant amount of our funds, first in Bralirwa, and then in Bank of Kigali. My friends, listen to this. Today, just after 2 years, this small investment is now worth $420,000 US dollars. Our initial placement has grown 3.5 times. Imagine if just 300 of us sitting here could do the same in North American proportions. A very interesting aspect is that the growth of these shares has weathered the global economic storm, which has made the rest of the world's stock markets bumpy and frightening. On this note, my advice to you is invest in Rwanda while it is still a well-kept secret, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, such success does not happen by accident. There are a number of factors that lead to this. You first need a political environment that's stable, that then leads to economic growth. It is also important to have a growing population whose purchasing power will create value. Where do you think we find these conditions? In Rwanda. How did this come about? It's no longer a secret, my friends. This is happening because of the leadership of my president, your president, our president, His Excellency President Paul Kagame. Please give him a standing ovation as a way of thanking him for his vision, and most importantly, for accepting to come and visit us this afternoon. Thank you. In conclusion, I would just like to emphasize the fact that as a dynamic diaspora, we can contribute to making our country better. You should always ask yourselves, how can you and I help bring more prosperity to Rwanda? To me, Agaciro is about all of us contributing to making the hidden value of Rwanda into a force for prosperity locally, regionally, and across the continent. I thank you very much.
If I can quickly paraphrase what you said, I believe it is important that every one of us have a part in what we are doing to make sure that we bring Agaciro to our nation, even those of us who are living abroad. With that said, I would like to welcome the representative of the Rwandan community in Canada, Dr. Egide Karuranga.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, First Lady, honorable ministers, honorable ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege and a great honor to stand in front of you tonight as the chairperson of the Rwandan diaspora in Canada. On behalf of my colleagues leading various chapters of our community in Canada, and on behalf of all the people, all the friends of Rwanda here tonight, allow me to welcome you one more time in this beautiful city of Boston. Now, I'm from Canada, and I wish people in the room from Canada would stand up and give a warm welcome, more than words, the applause. Thank you. Thank you. Your Excellency, the second edition of Rwanda Day in America represents for us a golden opportunity to reconnect with our mother country, to celebrate our multiple successes, and above all, look toward the journey ahead. For all the generations represented in this room, especially the youth, the organization of Rwanda Day is an invaluable source of inspiration as we meet with the architect of the pride of Africa today. Not very much good news used to come from Africa into our North American media, but Rwanda, under your leadership, has made a significant difference in our lives here in the United States and in Canada. Our American classrooms are learning case studies of our homegrown solutions, such as the Imihigo, which I often use in my MBA classes. We teach Imihigo. We are teaching Imihigo the way it's done in Rwanda. If you go to church, church is a field of testimonies about our resilience and forgiveness as a nation. Scientific and social communities are praising our constant GDP growth. They are studying how more than 1 million people were lifted out of poverty in such a short time. The global health coverage is inspiring countries in need of a similar solution like the United States of America. Your Excellency, allow me tonight to comment on the less publicized records on human rights, using some examples from an historical perspective as a first-hand witness. I strongly believe that my generation has a moral obligation to record the apartheid we grew up in inside Rwanda. Going to school, especially to the small university which Rwanda had set up with the Canadian Corporation, it was more than a privilege. It was a tool for systematic discrimination. We all remember sitting for exams after filling separate forms disclosing our ethnicity for the people who were going to grade us. The discriminatory policies culminated in 1973 when students, including myself, I was 15. Students, government officers, private sector employees were forced to leave their country, and things outside Rwanda were not much better. As refugees, we struggled to gain access to education and jobs in host countries. Coming back to Rwanda and then leaving again, at a certain point, became so illegal, so impossible. It was because we didn't have the right to have a passport. So we lived in that prison, inside and outside, until the Liberation Day in July 1994. The access, I'm a university professor, so the access to education is but one of many examples of the inequities we have had to overcome. But I'm taking education not because I'm a university professor, I'm taking education because it's the foundation of everything. It's because I believe that the 12 million people Rwanda is bringing to East Africa shouldn't be a burden, shouldn't be a barrier. Because I believe that investing in education will enable us to reap the benefits of what we call the demographic dividend. And I'm glad to see that under your leadership, Rwanda is reaping soon that demographic dividend. Unfortunately, today, some zeros, I would say zeros or zeros, it's the same, human rights activists, they ignore the leaps and bounds we have made to become a country where all students have equal access to education, especially to dozens of higher education institutions, in a country free of institutional and divisive tools of discrimination. Those activists deliberately ignore our open embassies, which not only deliver the ones that need the passport, but also encourage people to invest back home. They give you the passport, they ask you to invest back home, which was not the case by the time ambassadors were hunting people here. We have so many witnesses in the room. We have Gatete, we have Professor Steve, we have people who are being chased by the embassy here. Nothing is said in those activist reports about millions of refugees who were repatriated and resettled peacefully in Rwanda. Our access to sustainable growth healthcare is not something they herald at all. They never mention how malnutrition has been eradicated with the One Cow donation campaign, a homegrown solution. Those of my age know that previous administration used to ask citizens to loot their neighbors' property, kill and eat their cows for free. Your Excellency, your administration is encouraging donations to neighbors so that we may collectively work to end malnutrition and get rid of poverty. Sinzi rero ibyo bashaka ko duhitamo. This is not the one, you will never hear human rights activists saying that. They will never mention the provision of electricity to rural communities from north to south, to east and western Rwanda. Human rights activists refuse to acknowledge the number of lives our women and men in uniform saved in Haiti, in Darfur, in Sudan, and elsewhere in troubled West Africa. I'm talking as a witness. I was in Haiti, but on a Canadian government mission, but I always use my Rwandan passport. I was so impressed with the emotional situation my Rwandan passport created in the eyes of the immigration officers because of the tremendous work done by Rwandan women and men in uniform after the earthquake in Haiti. Oh, you are from Rwanda? Yes, I'm from Rwanda. So the human rights activist blindness shouldn't prevent us from celebrating our successes and lending our hand and experience to the rest of the world. It should remind us to keep focused on and consolidate our achievement so that Africa and the rest of the world may keep learning from our homegrown solution, the source of our dignity, the source of our virtue. Past administration divide our people. Your administration, Excellency, is promoting and has indeed achieved unity and reconciliation. Previous administration called for divisions and repeated killings of our people. But we also know lessons from the past tell us that the good people are found in all groups and in all corners of our nation. May God keep inspiring your leadership so that the good prevails and brings back the misled fellow countrymen to the table for unity, reconciliation, and prosperity. The Rwandan diaspora in Canada is eager to be part of that strengthening of our achievement. For the journey ahead, our Rwandan Canadian engineers, our business people, our government officers, our Rwandan professors in the best Canadian universities, but we happen to be professors in the best. We are active in the top 10. We have professors in Memorial University, in Laval University, Sherbrooke University, McGill, University of Montreal, McMaster, to name a few, but those are research-intensive universities, and we are all eager to be part of that strengthening. It is in that vein that, among other actions, we are launching an investment forum in Montreal on November the 10th. We will demonstrate how to tap into available Canadian resources, pull together our small assets and financial means in order to create a sustainable foundation for profitable investment, which will enable us to invest back home, to send our children to the best schools, to enjoy the best retirement plan, and so many other wonders and miracles to share soon. In summer 2013, to take Rwanda Day to something bigger than this, we will organize a Rwanda Week in Canada. Sports, science, culture, business, social implication, every aspect of our welfare will be celebrated through a week-long event and a competition culminating in a gala where excellence will be celebrated. Your Excellency, the Rwanda Week in Canada is your week. A week we will be organizing with our High Commission. A week we will dedicate to our nation. A week in which we would love to have you as a guest of honor, like in Chicago and Boston. Needless to say that the invitation is extended to all Rwandans, but more specifically to the Minister of Finance, whom we would kindly request to put a small line for Rwanda Week in his 2013 budget. And we will convey everything through our Minister, Honorable Mushikiwachu. Yeah, azabe mushiki wawe ariko ni mushiki wacu. So those two events will add to the first ever organized Itorero on the North American continent. The room tonight is full of our young men and women who graduated for the first two editions in Ottawa and Edmonton. Carrie, that organization, Canadian Association of Rwandan Youth, is for us in Canada a pride, a hope, an incentive to follow up on the work of volunteers who spend days and nights organizing our community to be successful at a time our detractors are roaming around with ugly statements comparing us to Interahamwe to be watched by the Canadian police. Fortunately or unfortunately for them, we do have also Canadian police officers of Rwandan origin today. Please join me in thanking all the women and men who give their precious time to the community, even in such a troubled period. Let us thank our diplomats for the thousands of miles tirelessly run to fight at the side of our community organizers. Let us constantly remind ourselves that our highest academic degrees, our PhD, our masters, our successful enterprises, our beautiful houses, our best federal and provincial government positions, all these individual achievements make more sense once they are used to make a positive impact in the lives of our Rwandan community members. Please keep shining and sharing your skills and wealth to raise our collective value abroad and at home. Tukihesha agaciro, tugaheshe bene wacu, tugahesha u Rwanda. Your Excellency, thank you for creating a positive environment in which all Rwandan communities abroad can contribute to our national prosperity. Living and working abroad is no longer a crime. Investing back home, turning brain drain into brain gain is the best we can offer to you in return. I used to teach in the US, I teach in Canada now. I know Canada has the best system of higher education, and we have the best professors in the best universities, especially based on the stakeholders' perspective of our education system. We think we can contribute a lot to raising the quality of higher education in Rwanda. Together, there is so much we can achieve, but most of all, it is important to remind the audience tonight, especially the young generation, that all the Rwandan successes celebrated worldwide have a foundation, a clear vision, and true leadership. The true leadership, your true leadership that captured and channeled the energy of women and men in uniform, in civil society, in rural and urban areas, in our schools, your capacity to channel all that energy to the noble cause of rebuilding a nation from the ashes of genocide. And Rwanda did it, and we can still do it, and keep inspiring a world in need of food, education, healthcare, peace, economic welfare, and stability. These are the Guinean human rights. Long live Rwanda, long live our communities in North America, long live our president and his family. Thank you.
Ibyo ni byo muri Canada. Thank you, Dr. Ejid Karuranga, for your remarks. As artist Mani Martin gets ready, Your Excellency, we are very proud of our country because we are realizing these days that there is a paradigm shift that is happening because of the efforts that we are making kwihesha agaciro. Today, Rwandans not only participate, but they sit at the table and they provide advice to others. And today, those of us who live outside compete with those who study in Rwanda because there is no longer a difference And today we are very proud. So on this note, I would like to invite forward Mani Martin, who is going to give us a rendition.
Rwanda rwambyaye, Rwanda rwagasabo, nkuvuge mpereye, nzindukiye kukurata, bwakwira bugacya. Rwanda rwambyaye, nkuvuge mpereye, nzindukiye kukurata, bwakwira bugacya. Wowe sinitatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wowe sinitatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Uwahanduje i Rwanda, uwahanduje i Rwanda, iyo abonye abasore baca umugara, akagera i Nyanza iwabo w'inyambo, akareba izo ngagi mu birunga, akareba abana b'u Rwanda, ati simbyiyumvisha, ndaye ejo nzagaruka i Rwanda. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wifite ingenzi y'intore, ihora ikureberera, humura Rwanda rwemarahari, niwita murayumva, ahora agira ati Rwanda urakire, watitara kureba, bakavuga ati Rwanda komera, komera n'ubundi urakomeye. Abatakuzi bicwa no kutakumenya, abakuvuga uko utari bazaze barebe. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe. Wowe simbi ritatu bwiza, wowe saro ridatakara, Rwanda we muririmbe.
cyane. Murakoze cyane.